Why did you bring your paralyzed kid here? Single dad said on a blind date. The CEO smiled. He showed up to a blind date pushing a wheelchair. She was a CEO worth millions. And the first thing he heard from across the restaurant was a sharp, judgmental voice cutting through the noise. Why did you bring your paralyzed kid here? He could have walked out. He could have broken down. Instead, he did something that would quietly change the life of every single person in that room, and his little girl would never be the same again. Channel invite. If stories like this remind you why kindness still matters in this world, you're in the right place. Welcome to Heartfelt Moments, where we share true stories that move you, inspire you, and remind you of the good still living in people's hearts. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and tell us in the comments, when did a stranger's kindness change your day? We read every single one. The story Marcus read was the kind of man who never asked for much. A 38-year-old electrician from Columbus, Ohio, he lived quietly in a small house on the east side of town, just him and his 7-year-old daughter, Lily. Lily had been born with a spinal condition that left her unable to walk. She used a wheelchair, and she did so with a smile so wide it could light up a whole street. Marcus had been a single dad since Lily was 2. Her mother had left, couldn't handle the weight of it, she'd said. So Marcus handled it. He worked double shifts, learned how to braid hair from YouTube tutorials, and read Lily the same 3 books every single night until she memorized every word. He wasn't looking for pity. He was just living, doing the best he could with what he had. His coworker, Danny, had been pushing him for months to get back out there. You deserve something good, Marcus, Danny would say. So one Thursday evening, Marcus agreed to a blind date at a nice Italian restaurant downtown. He had arranged for Lily to stay with a neighbor, but that afternoon the neighbor called a family emergency. Marcus had 2 choices: cancel or bring Lily along. He called the restaurant, explained the situation, asked if it would be okay. The hostess said yes. He figured the date would understand. People were kind, mostly. They were not seated 5 minutes before he heard the voice. It came from the table beside them, a man in a crisp blazer, speaking loudly enough for half the restaurant to hear. He looked at Lily, then at Marcus, then sneered. Why did you bring your paralyzed kid here? This is a restaurant, not a daycare for broken children. The room went quiet. Lily's small hands tightened on the arms of her wheelchair. Marcus felt his jaw clench. He had heard cruel things before: the stares in grocery stores, the whispers at playgrounds, but something about the word broken hit differently. Because Lily was watching him, and she was waiting to see what her dad would do. Before Marcus could speak, a calm, clear voice cut through the silence from across the room. Excuse me. A woman stood up from a corner table. She was dressed simply: dark blazer, no flashy jewelry, but she carried herself like someone used to being listened to. Her name, though Marcus didn't know it yet, was Diana Chen. She was the founder and CEO of one of the fastest-growing nonprofit tech companies in the Midwest. She had built her company on one principle: that every human being deserved dignity. Diana walked over to Lily's table. She crouched down so she was eye level with the little girl, and smiled the way you smile at someone you genuinely see. Hi there, she said softly. What's your name? Lily, the girl whispered. That's a beautiful name. Do you know what my favorite flower is? Lily shook her head. Lilies, Diana said. Because they grow in the hardest places, and still bloom. Lily giggled, just a small surprised giggle, but it was enough to break the tension in the room. Diana then stood, turned to the man in the blazer, and said calmly, without raising her voice, "A child is never broken, and a father who shows up every single day for his daughter is one of the strongest people in any room." She paused. You might want to think carefully about the words you use in public. They say more about you than anyone else. The man said nothing. He looked down at his plate. 2 tables started quietly clapping. A waitress nearby wiped her eye. Diana turned back to Marcus. I'm sorry that happened. Enjoy your evening. And she returned to her table. Marcus's blind date never showed up that night. But something else did, something he hadn't felt in a long time. A reminder that the world still held people who saw others clearly, who chose kindness not because it was easy, but because it was right. He introduced himself to Diana before leaving. They talked for 20 minutes near the door, while Lily dozed in her chair. He thanked her. She said she had done nothing special, but Marcus knew better. 3 months later, Diana's company partnered with a local organization to create flexible, high-paying remote jobs for single parents of children with disabilities. Marcus was one of the first hired. Lily still rides her wheelchair. She still smiles like the sun. And now, when people stare, Marcus smiles back because he learned something that night in a quiet Italian restaurant. Kindness doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need a reason. It just needs one person willing to stand up and say, "This human being matters." Closing, you never know what someone is carrying when they walk through the door. A single moment of kindness, one genuine word, one decision to see a person fully can redirect an entire life. Marcus didn't need someone to fix his world. He just needed someone to remind him it was worth showing up for. So today, be that person for someone. Hold the door. Speak up. Smile at the kid in the wheelchair. You might not know what it means to them, but they will never, ever forget it. Thank you for watching Heartfelt Moments. Share this story with someone who needs a little kindness today.